NU5 CRA repeater, Temple, Texas.
Call 5, Tango Sierra Oscar, monitoring our 5 Hills 325 net in 9 minutes.
Mary, if Jim is listening, he can look on Facebook or on YouTube. They both should be live. It should have audio today. NU5D.
Acknowledged, sir. Thank you.
KG5, TSO, KD6UI Mobile. If I'm not on the list already, Mary, I'd like an early check-in, but I forgot my HT today, so I won't be able to comment from over at the school. So put me down to short time, please.
Will do. Got you down a short time.
KD6UI.
N1MAK for KD6UI.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Are you going to have your cell phone with you? You could always echo link.
Well, maybe someday I'll get desperate enough to figure that out. But so far, I have a old timer's innate resistance to any of those internet connected modes. But you never know. someday it might grab me.
Understood, understood. And when I make hay out.
They tell me resistance is futile. We'll see. Catch you later. It's KD6UI, listening until 3 o'clock.
I don't know. Picard and 7 of 9 both resisted, so maybe it's not futile.
Now, Mary, is Jeff doing the login, or who you got for your logger today?
I am not sure. Maybe Cliff? I'm out here. I'm a little confused myself, so is Jeff. And he just offered to log, so he can log if he wants to, but it's very confusing. I started out doing some logging, and then all of a sudden some other logging was happening, so it was confusing for me, and Jeff asked me, and I didn't know. So, Jeff, it's up to you.
I'll take the logging. I got it.
Okay. It was a little confusing for a few minutes, but I understand what's going on because KG5Q and I jumped up there as a logger, and I went, now that's strange, and that's why you put out your statement. Well, we can't log at this end.
Well, you sure don't want 2 loggers in the forest.
Jim prefers not to log anyway. He monitors. He really has a hard time with my laptop, trying to type on my laptop. So he prefers not to log.
5 RXG.
Is that Mike?
Yes, ma'am, it is. I'm mobile for about the next 5 minutes, and I wanted to see if I could get my name on the log. Short time, probably not going to be able to make it, but then again, I might be able to. Depends on what happens in the next 15 minutes or so.
Okay, well, I got you down short time, and if you can get back to me, just hit a recheck.
Roger, Roger. Appreciate it. KL5 RSG, clear.
Is there any emergency traffic? Do we have any emergency traffic to this net? Well, I have been monitoring this frequency for the last few minutes, so not having heard any emergency traffic or any, well, we all had regular traffic, that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. So I want to offer you a good afternoon. This is Kilo Golf 5, Tango Sierra Oscar, and I'm declaring the 5 Hills 325 net open. Again, this is KG5CSO, Mary, in Copper Cove, Texas, and I'll be your net control today. This net meets at 3 o'clock p.m. Monday through Friday on 443.325 megahertz with a PL code of 88.5 and a positive offset of 5 megahertz. Remember, this is a directed net, so when you check in, start by saying this is, then wait 2 or 3 seconds to see if you're doubling with someone, then announce your call sign using ITU phonetics. Please wait for me to acknowledge your call before the next person checks in. I will ask for any comments or issues that each person wishes to discuss after all the check-ins are complete, and we have welcomed any first-time visitors to this net. If this is your first time visiting our net, please let me know, because then we can welcome you and find out a little bit about you. Before I take check-ins, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge those in our membership who may be experiencing difficulties, challenges, illness, or grief. Let's take a moment to remind them that they are in our thoughts and prayers. If you're able, reach out and let someone you know is struggling. Let them know that you're thinking of them. I will now open our net to check-ins. I'll take the first check-in, please.
This is Kilo Delta 5, Foxtrot Kilo Yankee, James in Waco.
This is 5 Kilo Victor, Benny, Air Star, Texas.
Okay, I got both of you. I got James in Waco, KD5FKY, and I've got Benny, K5KV, in Star, Texas. Okay, I'll take the next check-in, please.
This is Kilo Baker 0 Papa Mike Oscar Jim in Crawford.
Okay, Jim, I got you down. I'll
This
take the
is
next
Kilo
check-in.
India
Oh, I'm going to
5,
read your call sign for Jay.
Charlie Juliet,
So we're
Zulu,
Kilo Bravo
David, and
0
Lorena.
Papa Mike Oscar. Is that correct, Jim?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I just want to make sure our logger gets it. Okay, I'll take the next check-in, please.
This is Kilo India 5, Charlie Juliet Zulu. My name is David, and I'm in Lorena.
Oh, Lorena, I love that place. Okay, so that's Kilo India 5, Charlie Juliet Zulu, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to accommodate my logger today. Okay, I'll take the next check-in, please.
This is Alpha Delta 5, Sierra Kilo, Bud and Leroy. No traffic.
Hi there, Bud. AD5SK, so nice to hear you. Now, you were kind of doubling with someone, so I'm going to see if I can have that guy come back.
Kilo 7, Tango Whiskey Lima, Thomas, and Jumpman.
Okay, Kilo 7, Tango Whiskey Lima. Sorry about that. You said Thomas, correct?
Correct.
Thank you for your patience. Okay, I'll take the next check-in, please.
This is KG5YOC, Mike and Kempner.
Hi there, Mike. How are you doing? Thanks for checking in. KG5WO. Oh, I'm sorry, Yankee Oscar Charlie. My bad. Thank you, sir. Okay, I'll take the next check-in, please.
Kilo India 5, Zulu Tango India, Chris in Harker Heights.
KI5ZTI, Chris, out in Harker Heights. Thank you so much for checking in. I'll take the next check-in, please. Take this little moment of silence to give my public service announcement. This is Mary, Kilo Golf 5, Tango Sierra Oscar, and you're listening to the 5 Hills 325 net in Copper's Cove, Texas. We're on the Cove repeater. May I have the next check-in, please? Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to take a break and give my other announcements. Remember, 5 Hills 325 net is part of the Cove Repeater Association, and we meet on the first Saturday of every month. That would be this week, Saturday, April 1st, at the at Low Tex Restaurant at 502 South Main Street here in Copper's Cove. You can always tell where Low Tex is because we're right across from the fire station. They like to go out there and polish up the truck and practice their lights and sirens, and so you can always tell where we are. We're at 8:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock, but you can come a little early and order a little breakfast. Their breakfast is pretty good, and you can join us to talk radio. I also want to mention that on the second Saturday of the month, so that's only like 10 days away, is the Lampasas Area Amateur Radio Club. That's obviously in Lampasas. We call it LARC. And it's at Putters and Gutters. It's kind of a family fun center. And it's out there in the main part of Lampasas. And we meet there second Saturday, and we sleep in a little bit. So we meet there about 9 o'clock, 9:30, somewhere in there. And again, you can still get a nice breakfast. They have a little restaurant there called the Broken Fork, and their breakfast tacos are to die for. So I wanted to at least give you our main announcements. Do we have any other check-ins? Please come now. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to merge our net logger people with our voice check-ins, and I'm going to go back up to the top of my list to our logger today, N1MAK. So it'll be November 1, Mike, Alpha Kilo. Jeff, oh, thank you for being a lifesaver. How are you doing, and what are you up to, and how are things going?
November 1, Mike Alpha Kilo, Jeff over here in Lampasas. Just hanging out today. I got most of my work done, so I had time to play radio. Waiting for some baby bunnies to be born, and then we'll have to find home. So, back to you, Mary in the net. Thanks.
Bunnies! Oh, how timely. Okay, you need to tell them to wait for a couple more days. Just kidding. But is your rabbit actually in the process, or are we just kind of watching for them?
We're just waiting for him. She's been starting to nest, but she hasn't started pulling out fur yet. So about 24 hours before she'll start pulling out fur and really building a good little hole for them to hide in, and then we'll have babies. And 4 to 6 weeks after that, we'll have bunnies to give away or get somebody to eat or whatever. They're Samuk, which is Texas A&M University's own private breed of Texas bunnies that they made for food, basically. But back to the net.
Well, I have never eaten rabbit, and I don't intend to start now. And I like my meat to be on a little tray with plastic over it. So that's where I'm at. So don't have to be. But anyway, okay. So, but I'll ask around if anybody's interested in having a rabbit. My daughter's fiance would probably say yes. So anyway, let me know how many you end up with. Okay, let's see. Bruce, KD6UY is short time today because he forgot his walkie-talkie on the way to pick up his grandson. So, okay, we'll move on to November Uniform 5 Delta. Steve out in Gatesville, what are you up to? What's going on?
Well, good afternoon, Barry and the rest of the net. It's a pleasure to be with y'all this afternoon. Tim made an announcement, and it's on the Groups IO page, about Ed Fong, WB6IQN, will host a Zoom meeting with a special presentation on antennas this evening. His antenna was featured in the February 2003 and March 2007 QST. So the link and how to get there is on our Groups IO page. So if anybody wants to participate in that and learn a little bit about antennas. By the way, we are live on Facebook and on Zoom right now, and YouTube. So, excuse me, not Facebook, YouTube. So go to YouTube, Code Repeater Association, and you can watch us live. Other than that, getting another repeater ready for the Waco area, working with the GR1225. Can't think of anything else. Good net going, and back to net, NU5D.
Thanks a lot, Steve, for all you do. That's really great. And thanks for the info on that Zoom meeting. And hubby was just asking me whether or not the laptop that has become dedicated to NetLogger will do Zoom, which it does. So we're good. Okay, thanks again. And so, AG5UQ, Cliff, what are you up to out there in Killeen?
Oh, not a whole lot. My wife and I have been around the house straightening up some things and getting some things done we need to get done. And Saturday morning, I do have 3 testing, so I need at least three VEs, counting myself, to be there at least by 7:30 so I can test them. And reminder tonight at SimplexNet at 6:30 on 146.550. I'll be there. Back to you, Mary.
Okay, well, I hope we have, I don't know if you're testing for, you know, for the extras or general or not, but I was going to say, I hope we have 3 new hams by Saturday afternoon. That would be nice. Okay, so thanks so much for Cliff for doing that for us, because I know you have to get up and you know, get yourself down there pretty early, and that's, you know, you have to come in from Killeen, and I know exactly how that is because I do the opposite direction once a week, and so Yeah, it's a little bit of a ways. Okay, so, KG5, Q&I, James, how about telling me what you're up to these days?
This is KG5QNI, and I had the transceiver handed to me over the couch. Not much going on with me, but thank you, Steve, for the heads up on the Zoom headphone antenna presentation. I'll definitely try to do that this evening. And could you clarify? It should be 1900 Central Standard Time. Is that correct, sir? Over to you.
I'm just the messenger, so I went ahead and forwarded the note, but I'm just the messenger. I didn't really look at the time other than this evening, and I don't have that screen in front of me. Let's see. No, I don't have the screen right in front of me, but it'll be on the Groups IO page, so just look at that, and away you go. Over.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I got it, and I'll make sure to make the time correction. It should be right during dinner. That's when these things usually work. Well, that's about it from me. I'm going to send it back to you, Net Control. This is KG5QNI.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to go to Whiskey 4, Delta Alpha Delta. Dale, just trying out your new call sign. How are you doing? And what are you up to? Do we have WW4DAD? I thought you had checked in with NetLogger. Are you still with us? Oh, he's got himself down a short time. My bad. Okay. There's a little bit of a discrepancy between the NetLogger and the audio logger. No. Okay, so I guess we'll move on. Mike, KI5RXG is short time. So KD5, FKY, James at Waco. What are you up to and what you doing?
Hey, good afternoon, Mary and Annette. Good things happening here. My wife's doing a lot better, which is always happy. I got my propagation map up here in front of me from the hfdxview.org. Man, that's a fantastic tool for those who should work on HF, right? And I had a question. I heard about the Zoom meeting, but does anyone know if there's going to be slow scan tonight? Over.
NU5D, do you want to try and pick that up?
Oh, we could meet at 9 o'clock informally and see what happens on the 14724 Bruceville repeater. So yeah, I'll be there, and anybody else that wants to play slow scan on VHF FM, there you go. Back to net, NU5D. Okay, Steve, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Didn't want to miss out on that. And it was funny. They were trying to get me to get it working, and the reason why I didn't have it working, I had my headphones plugged in where the sound card was supposed to be plugged in. So yeah, it was kind of a moment there. Everything's going great, Mary. I hope you have a blessed day. It's KD5FKY. Back to net.
Well, thank you so much for checking in, James. I appreciate that. Okay, Kilo 5, Kilo Victor, Benny, how are you doing and what are you up to and how's it going?
Well, afternoon, Mary and Annette, K5KV. Oh, just playing around on the programming laptop, trying to clean up a file I want to send a guy, and I don't want to have any traces or tracks of where I got the file. And working on that, kind of digging in the weeds a little bit. Not a whole lot to report. Good afternoon to everybody. And look forward to watching the next new episode of Moonshiners tonight. K5 KB.
I have to admit I am not familiar with Moonshiners. Wednesday means Mandalorian to me. But then you have to be a, Star Trek, nerd on that one, But we're so glad you checked in. Always good to hear you. Please keep on keeping on. Stay in touch with us. And we'll talk to you soon. 73 to you and yours. Okay, let's see. KB0PMO. I don't know if I can do all the IT phonetics for that one. Jim out in Crawford, how are you doing and what are you up to and all that?
I'm doing fine, and I'm not up to anything. Just sitting here listening to the discussions and looking at the countryside.
Well, the countryside's pretty good out your way.
Yes, it is, and right there where I got my camper at, there's a lot of trees, 100-year-old oak trees, and it's just a beautiful scenery.
Well, that's really awesome, and I'm so glad that you're able to check in with us and all that. Do you do this? Do you go from place to place, or do you pretty much stay in the same area?
Well, we've been traveling for 3 years, and we just kind of settled down, and we're going back to Colorado in about 3 weeks to get our stuff out of storage and bring it down here, some of it, and we're just going to call this area our home until the good Lord takes us to his home.
That sounds like a pretty good plan. I'm sure it's thawing out up there. My grandson lives in Colorado Springs, and he said it's been a little bit nippy. So, just throw an extra coat in the back seat just in case. But obviously, if you got storage up there, you know what the weather's like up there. But anyway, so glad you're calling Texas home.
Yeah, they just had a blizzard yesterday. Schools were closed, highways or interstates were closed, and things are opening them back up. But high schools are having trouble trying to get their spring athletic events in and everything else. But at least this is time that they've had some moisture before. They haven't had much moisture. So last year crops was not doing very good. So maybe they'll have enough moisture to plant corn and everything else.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for him because, and it's been horrible everywhere. Do we know anybody who has gotten enough moisture, enough rain? I can't name anywhere except, I can't even think of anywhere. California got too much. They're sliding into the Pacific. So, I have a couple friends out that way on the West Coast, and it's pretty soppy.
Yeah, I heard California's out of the drought now for a day or two anyway, but at least somebody got out of the drought. So maybe this part of the country might get out of it someday.
Well, I moved here from California, and where I was down in the Southern California, that kind of the LA area, we were always in a drought most of my life. And then when hubby enlisted in the Army, we went up to Monterey to the Defense Language Institute, and I learned a lot about Central California and how much, because Birdseye is there and C&W is there, and all those vegetable growers are there. And so I learned a lot. And I know that where I lived nearer to the beach areas when I used to drive out to my sister's, they used to grow celery out there. And I had no idea. One time I had the windows down because my AC didn't work on my old buggy. And I went, wow, celery smells awesome. But so they have a lot of a lot of produce out that way. So I'm hoping they're getting enough up in their area, not so much that they can't give us decent produce prices. That's where I'm at. Okay, anything more, David?
Everything from Jim. K5C.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. Okay, Alpha Delta 5 Sierra Kilo. Bud, how are you doing?
Good evening, Mary and Annette. This is 85SJ. Doing okay. I'm trying to program a little bell thing, UV5R, with about a dozen frequencies. We're going to be testing in Mahia this Saturday, and I figure one of the new hams would like to have a radio with his area frequencies in it. And it's kind of frustrating, but I'll get it done. And let me reset. My daughter is going round and round with UPS. It's been nearly a week, and they are coming up with all kind of excuses why they haven't delivered her packages, or they're delivering it to the wrong one. I told her, go to the top. I said, what it is, it's the manager and way holder and the driver. Some of the drivers don't like to drive down this way, and they come up with all kind of excuses. But I said, well, if I have problems with them, when I order something, if they can't deliver it USPS, I'll cancel my order. But I don't, the ones I order from usually, they're good about using the postal service. Other than that, it's going to be a good day, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of my friends when I get to Belton and then helping out with the testing there. So back to you, Mary, 85SJ.
So nice of you to do all that for someone, you know. Hubby muttered, well, that's why, you know, he's using Yesu these days, because of the programming issues that we have gone through in previous years. So it's sometimes it's tough, but since you're a really good expert, I'm sure you can handle it, you know, with your one hand tied behind your back. So thanks for checking in, Bud. We're so glad to hear from you. Okay, we're going to head out toward Kempner, K7TWL. Thomas, how are you doing and what are you up to?
Well, good afternoon. I am just sitting here working, and I didn't have any meetings, so I thought I'd turn on the radio and see what was going on. It's nice to hear everybody and just checking in. That's about it. Back to y'all, Net Control.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to check in with us. I'm glad that you turned on your radio at the right moment so that we could hear what you were doing and what you were up to. So thanks a lot for checking in, Thomas. Okay, still in Kempner, KG5YOC. Mike, what are you up to and how are you doing and what are you into?
This is KG5YOC. Just working today. I'm trying to figure out some changes to our code at work on a app that I created a while back. So just doing that and enjoying the cooler weather for a few days. KG5YOC, back to net.
I know, isn't it nice to have a day that you're not either freezing or broiling? You know, it's really funny because when it gets really cold, I say, now remember, back in August, you begged for this. You begged for this, Mary. You did. And then when it's hot, I mean, when it's hot, I go, oh, can't wait for the cold weather to get here. Can't wait for the cold weather. So, it's nice to have this kind of middle ground where you can enjoy yourself. You can breathe a little bit, and you don't feel like you're broiling, and you don't feel like you need to go find your wool socks. So that's heaven to me. So I'm with you all the way on that one. Well, anything else you wanted to share with us, Mike?
Nah, that's it at this time. But thanks for checking back, KG5YOC.
Okay, one of the difficulties that we have between my hubby, who monitors our net logger, and I, who try and write down all the things that are the people that have logged into net logger, and then try and get everybody on voice and try and make my little list, is we have a quandary as to whether or not we skip somebody along the way. If you had checked in, I still have Chris and Jen to check with, but is there anybody that I missed whose name I did not call? Because I had Jeff and Bruce and Steve and Cliff and James and Cove, my James, okay, Dale and Temple, Mike, who's he's mobile, but he was short time. So then I had James in Waco and Benny and Jim in Crawford, David in Lorena, Bud out in Leroy, I know I talked to him, Thomas and Mike in Kempner. So is there anybody, could you recheck if I missed you just now?
This is KI5ZTI, Chris in Parker Heights.
Yeah, I had you coming up. I just was trying to get everybody before you because there was you and Shan left, and I was trying to see if there was anybody else that was on my list that I somehow, because Jeff is telling me I skipped somebody, and I wanted to make sure I didn't leave anybody in the lurch.
This is KI5ZTI. Okay, well, when you're ready for me, just give me a shout out. It's Chris in Harker Heights. I'll be standing by waiting.
Well, you don't have to wait long because you were my next person to call. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't forgotten anybody. I didn't think I did, but there was a discrepancy. So why don't you go ahead, Chris, and tell me what you're up to and how things are going and what's going on?
Roger, net control. The gentleman from Colorado, I didn't get his call sign. I think his name was Dave. Yeah, well, welcome to the area, and I would say that you should probably get your stuff and get it down here as quick as possible because we're getting ready for an eclipse here, and from what I'm hearing, it's going to be really crowded here. So pick your spot and get it early. Also looking forward to the Hamfest up in Belton there. And I'm studying for my general, and hopefully I'll be taking that soon. I don't be thinking I'll be taking it at the fest, but I'm looking forward to that. And that's pretty much it for me right here, enjoying the cool weather. This is KI5ZTI. Back to you, Ned.
Well, I believe that was, if I've got my list right, was KI5CJZ, and he was going to move his stuff down here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I don't think he's going to wait long. And so, yeah, he was talking about the fact that they're still snowed in a little bit up there. So, and the eclipse is not going to be until 2024. So since he's talking about a 2 or 3 week window, I think he's going to be safe. right, now let's see. The last person I have on my list is KD5WMV. Jen, what are you up to and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Mary, and everybody on the net. I am working on getting a Libra Freestyle monitor thing connected to my phone so I can monitor my blood sugar and just scan it off on my phone and be able to send all the information to the doctor and hopefully improve my blood sugar some now. It's been interesting. New technology usually doesn't bother me. It's just getting used to it. So that's what I'm working on. And when I get done with that here in just a little bit, I'm going to start building some dummy loads for some of the ones that are interested in ham so I can teach them how to use the dummy load and program their radios and do tuning and stuff. So that's what I've got going on. Back to you, Mary.
Well, that's interesting that you mentioned the Libre. I don't know if that's the same one, but I have a student in. I used to have diabetes, and I went through all that, the finger pricking and blah, blah, blah. Although it doesn't bother me to do that, I would rather, when I go to the doctor, because I have that history, they still do it, and I go, geez, I got to remember to take my monitor, my meter with me, because I hate it when they do it, because they really draw blood, and my fingers sore for days after they do it. But anyway, one of my students in my class over at the Lions Club Park Senior Center here in Killeen, she has a monitor that she wears that she sticks it on the back of her arm so that she doesn't hit it on anything or bump on it, or her belt, she doesn't put it on her. Some people put it on their abdomen or someplace like that, but she said that way her belt, her coats, all that don't bother it. And she really, really likes it. She really likes having that instead of having to keep track of, monitoring herself. So I'm hoping that you can do that and make it work, and that makes keeping your blood sugar, levels much better, I think. And people don't realize that those who don't monitor can really suffer the consequences. I have a dear friend who doesn't test, she doesn't check, she eats whatever, and she's really slowly going blind. She's really having a hard time with her vision. So, I'm a bravo to you for taking your condition in hand and dealing with it effectively. Isn't technology great?
For 20 years, and I know the importance of keeping it monitored and everything. It's just that the insurance was not paying for it before, and the cost was just to the point we couldn't afford to do it. I could stick my fingers cheaper than what I could use this thing. But this is for as far as charting it and everything for my doctors, this is going to be more dependable and everything. I think it's going to work out a whole lot better.
Well, I still maintain my endocrinologist, and I know so many people who are type 2 diabetics who just use their primary care physician to monitor their blood sugar, and I say, ooh, nope. I think it's just so much better. I have a really good doctor out in Temple that I drive that hour each way to see her, and she sometimes will cancel. I have to juggle my appointments around, but it's definitely worth it to have a really good endocrinologist that you really get along with and you feel good when you follow their regimen. So if you're not seeing a regular endocrinologist, move to one. That's I'm not Dr. Mom or anything, but it makes such a big difference. At least it has for me.
Yes, I've got one. I've got my primary doctor, and then I have one that keeps an eye on my kidney function too. And with the combination of all three, right now I've brought my A1C from 9 to 10, The last two times I've went in, it's been 7.8. So we're bringing it down, and I'm hoping with this monitor and everything, and continuing to control my diet, I'll eventually do like my wife. She's down to 4, a little over 4 now, and she's completely off of her insulin and stuff. So that's what I'm shooting for.
Is going down. I've finally got mine down to 6.9, and people say my primary care will say you need to have it down to 6, but my endocrinologist says, you know, you're 69, it's not going to go down to 6, like ever, you know. So you know, you're fine for where you are. And I went, good, okay. So, but I do make sure that when I go into my doctor every 6 months. I have a lab beforehand, and then I see him the next week. I make sure they get my A1C so I know what's going on. I don't care if my PCP knows what's going on. As long as I do, I'm good. So, so it sounds like you're doing the right things, and so I really applaud you for that one. Thanks so much for checking in, Jen. Okay, I'm going to see if there are any late check-ins or rechecks. Come now.
Here is Kilo Yankee 4, Sierra Mike on Echo Link. That's Kilo Yankee 4, Sugar Macalo.
I'm sorry, your name, please?
This is Lawrence, Lima Alpha Whiskey, Romeo Echo, November Charlie Echo. Lawrence is the name of it.
Okay, Lawrence, gotcha. Okay. And where are you checking in from?
I'm checking in from the southwestern part of Virginia, QSF.
Wow, that's great. Oh, so how's it going up there? And you got to tell me what your temperatures are.
Oh, our temperatures are fantastic. I think it might be in the 60s today. I'm not entirely sure. But lately, we've been up in the 70s. That's been so nice. Especially nice here in the shack because with it only being in the 60s, apparently today it's not as hot. So, oh, and it's nice and sunny too here as well. It's just fantastic.
So what's the nearest large town near you?
I'm just outside of the Roanoke, Virginia metro. It's the largest city in southwestern Virginia.
Okay, Roanoke, great. Okay, well, you know what? Your weather sounds like it's a little bit like what we have here, but Texas is doing this funky chicken thing. We yo-yo up and down. We have 50 one day, 55 one day, and then 81 the next. So there's no predicting. You have to keep a jacket in the back seat. That's kind of how it goes here.
Oh yeah, QSL on that. We were largely the same not too long ago. Yeah, our temperatures would fluctuate like that, even in the winter time, we would get down into the single digits and then we'd be back up in the 60s, winter was weird. But now we're in spring, it seems like temperatures are stabilizing itself, which is great.
Well, we had kind of the same kind of winter, and near the end of the winter time, we had some really warm temperatures, so it fooled our bluebonnets into coming up. So we've got hillsides full of bluebonnets and Indian keep worrying that we're going to have a cold snap and freeze them all and kill them all off, which would make me very unhappy. I would cry. But yeah, we've got really a field of bluebonnets, and they're early. They should not be coming up just yet.
All right, well, QSL on that. Well, it's a little bit of a different story over here. Nothing interesting's really popping up for us quite yet. In fact, the leaves on the trees just started to show up. So, yeah, Lily's got. I mean, we don't really have many wildflowers where I am anyway, which is weird. We're right in the middle of the mountains here in Virginia. I just don't really see that too many wildflowers in my area. It's quite interesting.
That's interesting. Well, when I was younger, I lived in Southern California, and I remember as a child, I was a Girl Scout, and we would go around in these nature areas and spread golden poppy seeds everywhere. They're real little tiny. They're like a it's a poppy. It's like when you get on your bagel, like a poppy seed bagel. They're really tiny, and we used to scatter them everywhere, trying to get our California our state flower to bloom. And I didn't see very many of them as I grew up, but makes me want to go back and plant some more because we need some. But it's hard to plant bluebonnets. They take a couple of years. When you put the seeds in, it takes 2 years for them to come up.
Oh man,
okay,
that's
well, thank
a
you,
bit
Lawrence.
of a
It's
wait
so
there.
great to hear you, and I'm just
I didn't even
so
know
jazzed
that.
we
I
all the way
assume that most plants
Southwest
are just,
Virginia.
Yay!
All the way
sprouts.
to Central Texas.
You plant them and
I'm
then
gonna
you
check
just
and see
wait
if I
for
have
it to get
anybody else
warm
who would like
and
to
for
check
some
in, late
moisture, and
check in,
then
or
it would sprout. I didn't know
Let's
it
go ahead
takes
and come
that
out.
long, but hey, yes, we learn something every day, I guess.
Well, like I again said, thank you so much for checking in with us. Okay, so do we have any more late check-ins or rechecks? Please come now.
Alpha Golf 5, Uniform, Quebec.
Go ahead, Cliff.
Just a comment about the bluebonnet. Right next door, I've got a house. She loves her bluebonnet. She's got a yard full of bluebonnets. She doesn't mind the public going by and taking pictures with them. But the key to bluebonnets is once they're blooming and everything else, do not cut them until they've gone dormant and dropped their seeds. If you cut them too early, right after they stop flowering, and the seeds don't drop, you're not going to get them the next year. They just have to have the seeds mature and drop to the ground to have a good crop the next year. Back to you.
Well, that's great info for us. Transferred Texans to know. I did speak with a gentleman at in the garden department at HEB here in Coast, and he said he'd come in from another. He's with their main. They're one of their big stores that has a really big garden department, and he said that because the seeds on that they sell, bluebonnet seeds, the pod is so tough that what they do to get them to sprout up so that they can force them into to bloom enough to be able to sell them in a pot, they have to soak them in some kind of chemical to weaken the pod that they can bloom. Otherwise, he said it takes a couple of years. And so I was like, ooh, okay, because I have some bluebonnet seeds and I have never planted them because I was told they were so difficult to grow. But I agree that you can't pick isn't it a kind of a policy in Texas, not a law, but a kind of a policy not to pick bluebonnets anyway? And it's nice that you have that next door so that you could just kind of look.
Mary, if they're in your yard, they're your plants. You can pick them or anything like that. If they're on a state highway, that I think the state plants them. I think at that point you may or may not get in some difficulty there. But if they're on your own private property, bluebonnets are not against the law to cut or pick. It just needs to be your own private property.
Right. I totally understand what you're saying. Now, when I go between Cove and 14 or Colleen area, I go over SH9, which stretches over Fort Hood, and it is covered with bluebonnets right now. And so that's state property, and I've never even thought about touching them. There are times when I want to pull over and take some close-up pictures, but that's about it. But I do know one thing that people don't realize with bluebonnets is when they go dancing out into these field of bluebonnets to take pictures and put their kids there and all that stuff, there's usually a lot of snakes that like to hide in bluebonnets. So that keeps me honest. Okay, last call for alcohol. Do we have anybody else who would like to check in or check or something to that nature?
This is Kilo India 5, Yankee Charlie Romeo.
Okay, remind me of your name?
This is Brandon in Copper's Cove.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, Brandon, how are you doing? And what are you up to? I just thought I'd find out what you're doing.
And this is KI5YCR. Hello, everyone on the net. Haven't been able to be back again because mostly had a lot of moving parts going on. Just moved into a new apartment. I'm actually about to go mobile and take a bunch of clothing I no longer need over to the Goodwill and donate it. So thought I'd check in. I was able to make the tail end of the net. Over.
What city are you in by chance?
Copper's Cove. Copper's Cove.
Oh, okay, because there's also a nice place out in Colleen where you can drop stuff. I just thought I'd mention it, but Texas Thrift, but it's on W.S. Young out there by Veterans Memorial Boulevard.
I'll try to go over there and see if they'll take it instead. Not really choosy on who gets it, as long as someone that needs it more than I do receives it. Over.
There you go. That's great. Like I said, there's a lot of people out there who, just can't afford to go out and buy new, and that's awesome. So, good of you to do that. That's great.
So that's probably where, if I'm in it around this time, I'll be checking in from. Over.
Well, we're winding this up. I just thought I'm checking to see if there's anybody else who wants to check in. Have any more check-ins? Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and close our net because it's nearly 4 o'clock. An hour, I think, is adequate time for people to check in and say howdy. Okay, so this is Mary, Kilo Golf 5, Tango Sierra Oscar. I want to thank all of you for checking in with us and telling us how you're doing and kind of listening to what other people are doing, and that's always good for all of us. And so I'm going to go ahead and close this net at 15:55. That's 3:55 p.m. And I just trying to get a chuckle out of hubby because he knows that if you're a ham, you should know what 1555 is. Okay. Thanks so much for checking in with us. This is KG5 TSO, and I'm Claire.